100 people across 3 cities in Singapore, Bangkok, as well as Kuala Lumpur. So in fact, this year we have been humbly recognized by the Straits Times and the Financial Times as one of the fastest growing companies in the Asia Pacific region. So that's something we are really, really proud of since our company's in 2019. At Conexus Studio, we are really passionate in creating spaces, not only looking good, but to also bring about collaboration, work productivity, and well-being for the people. And I think I'm quite delighted again to be collaborating as a venue host with an excellent partner, and really having been collaborating since the start. I can really see that this In Conversation series has been really growing rapidly, and the whole community has been really very active. And today, we really have a very full house over here in this space. And I thought it's very meaningful that we are having this platform for discussion and learning for the youth environment. So I think over here, I wish everybody a fruitful discussions and learning for this evening. That's all from me. Thank you.
I was just talking to Keith. It's always good to have to design AI in such a beautiful office. And I guess Keith will approach Brandon soon for his office renovation. So welcome again. If we can go to the next slide. QR code. So I think if you can use your handphone, log into the Mentimeter, you can submit questions while we are doing the initial discussion with the panelists. And feel free to just send me your questions, and if I see an interesting one, I will just interrupt and post a question to any of the panelists. Will it give you some time to scan the QR code? Okay, yeah, maybe we can, before we talk about AI, maybe we can lighten the mood by maybe having a quick email exchange. Okay. I'll use some time to read this email exchange. So this is a fictitious case that I've just generated, whereby I think it just shows that some systems still need human intelligence, human supervision, and we can't really trust AI 100%. But all I can say that on the serious note, AI is really here to stay. And AI in the last 5 years has proven that they can help us to save energy, save water, improve our process, and all this is really dependent on the quality of the data that we can collect, and all this data turn into useful information, and from the useful information comes knowledge that we can use to make informed decisions. So technology alone doesn't guarantee transformation. So real change actually happens with people, culture, trust, and technology. Imagine an organization where productivity is redefined through AI-driven insights, where fairness and inclusion are embedded in the across the design, operation, and maintenance of building operations, where it is delivered and where it's on the shop. The risk and the governance needed to make AI a trusted partner in our sector. So how can we certify that AI is safe? So do we need a third party like also BSI to certify that the algorithms of the AI are not intrusive and doesn't violate any ethical regulations? And how leadership in HR can bridge the gap between technology and people, ensuring AI enhances human productivity rather than replacing it? Let's start with that. I think the first question I have for the panelists would be, how do you see AI currently being applied in the new environment? And do you have a compelling example from your observation in the world?
Maybe before I respond on that, let me quickly introduce Connection Partners. So we are a global marketing and HR consultancy firm specializing in the built environment sector. We cover 6 different sectors: the property and real estate sector, construction and engineering sector, interior design and architecture sector, building tech and property tech field, building sustainability, as well as the digital infrastructure space. So, every day we speak to stakeholders across these 6 sectors. So, my examples and my sharing will be based on the insights that I have learned across the stakeholders that we have learned from these stakeholders. So, coming back to Chiki's question, I guess 3 key areas where we see a lot of compelling usage in AI. Number one, from FM perspective, we see increasing adoption of AI from a building management system standpoint. So I believe that is really primarily due to the emphasis in building sustainability as well as the demand for energy efficiency. Secondly, from a digital infrastructure standpoint, AI is also feeding AI. So we are seeing a lot of competition within the digital infrastructure space where there is a need to build AI-ready data centers. Therefore, there is a lot of learning required to redesign data centers to be AI-ready. And finally, from a HR standpoint, from a generative AI standpoint, there is a lot of usage for that. Even personally for us, we use AI to generate job descriptions, conduct screenings, basically anything that could be automated, we automate it. So that from a human resource perspective, we spend more time interacting with candidates, building relationship with candidates to understand them better and to look at whether they could be fit to the business from an intangible standpoint.
Thanks, Ethan. Maybe you can also comment on, in the sense that we have 4 male panelists.
Yes.
Okay, are we leaving out maybe the female perspective in terms of AI? We just realized this 5 years ago that we didn't have a clear representation. So maybe from an HR perspective, how do you see this?
Yeah. This is completely not intentional. That we have 4 gentlemen here with us. But it's also a good sort of mirage of how the sector looks like, right? But the usage of AI is, of course, I believe a lot of we don't know. I think the diverse gender probably is AI, right? From as a user, but from an engineering standpoint, from a STEM perspective, obviously, there is still a very critical need for gender diversity, just like how the environment is. I think generally in our sector, there is definitely a lack of gender diversity, and I think this discussion has been continuing. It has always been a topic of interest, and it will continue to be a topic of interest, and it should take the whole society to really try to drive the importance of STEM. Why make STEM sexier, right? For genders of different diversity to really take on this
AI is already here. I think before talking about AI, myself, I come from Virtual Green, based out of Melbourne, Australia. We are a small startup at the moment, about 20 people, not as big as our big friends here like CNW, and that. They're still a baby, 2 years old baby, but sometimes baby with the loudest cry. And in fact, we're actually growing in a very fast manner. Before I go to that, I think just to give a bit more context about Retro Green, we are actually a technology company that focuses on property technology. And we aim to deliver full-scale HVAC optimization for building owners. That is our main business. I think in the last 2 years, we've been growing quite fast, and we know baby grows up fast. We have been appointed by a similar A-star agency in Australia. We call it CSIRO, to be an industry partner to quickly implement this solution for the old problem buildings. So, I mean, they have actually shortlisted a few buildings for Retro Green to implement the solution. I think more recently, we were appointed by the Go Green Co-Innovation Program between Singapore and Australia, to help and to work with a local company called Metro Transit System to adapt our technology from this HVAC optimization to the battery management system in EV buses. So very soon, we will see this technology also implemented in the transport sector. More often than that, I think we are also collaborating with big consultants, to bid on projects. I think more recently we are working with CNW Services to bid for the GBIC 2.0 challenge to implement this HVAC optimization. And I think one last one is that we are already in talks with the Singapore A-Star to actually, build an integrated solution, much better from our existing core technology, to differentiate itself from the rest in the market. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think although Retro Green is only established in the last few years in Singapore, yeah, so you're very active in ASEAN and the region. I think this really shows how the demand for AI-driven solutions is actually accelerating, especially in region whereby Singapore actually has a very high utility tariff rates, and we also face a lot of sustainability pressures. So I think next, we're going to go to Dylan, whereby I have a different question for you. So from a developer's perspective, maybe you can introduce your company first, and then you can talk about, from your developer's perspective, what convinced you to invest in AI solutions for your projects, and maybe share how this AI has helped you in terms of your business operations, and what are the business metrics that matter to you most.
Okay, thank you very much, Chikit, for the question. So, very good evening, everyone. I'm Dylan Ong, the Executive Director for Hong Lai Huat Group Limited. So, for myself personally, when I came across this opportunity to be here with my wonderful panelists, I think first thing first, I'm not a tech guy. Okay, so coming from a business perspective, when I was first introduced this topic, I felt that there was an immediate connection to what we are basically doing at this moment. So, as a listed company, we are probably one of the few unique ones to be operating in a country like Cambodia. So, in fact, this year it's our 19th year being in Cambodia market. So, is it safe? Is it worth to invest in this long run? I think for us being there for such a long time, we see the growth, the different kind of prospects, and the long-term growth of this beautiful country. So coming back to this AI thing, as I was sharing from the very beginning, when we first entered into Cambodia, in a country like Cambodia, where data is not that openly available, as a developer, whenever we want to buy a piece of land, So we often have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars trying to buy certain reports from this kind of, from companies like data collection companies. And often you would have to spend a lot of time, resources, trying to wait for this report. And when you get the report, you got to verify here and there. But since AI was being introduced, the first generation of ChatGPT, as a second generation business owner, the question will come to us is that, how are we going to ensure that the company continues to grow in terms of productivity, so on and so forth? And for now, we see that it is helping us tremendously because with the adoption of AI in our business, we are able to get data very quickly right now. We can save a lot of cost and a lot of time, and more importantly, decision making will be much faster in each and every project that we decided to adopt in right now. And lastly, I think for now, it's not just Phnom Penh, the capital city, that I'm observing how AI is helping us generating real-time information of, for example, land sale prices, transacted prices. This data, they are not that widely available in Cambodia. Like Singapore, we have URA, you can check the caviar, how much it is. But right now in Phnom Penh, you go on to an AI platform, you could have all the data that you need to make your decision immediately. Whether is it feasible to go in, what price should be set for a project, be it for sales and for rent. And I think, lastly, not just in Phnom Penh itself, but AI has already spread to all the rural areas of Cambodia, even at certain districts or that has not such a strong infrastructure. And you'll be surprised to find out that actually all of this data about the area is available by using the AI itself. So I think in the long run, it's going to be very beneficial for our business in every aspect as we continue to grow in the country. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess from your company point of view, I think AI has helped you to transform. But the scary part of this AI is that they know so much. So where did they get this information? I think this security question we'll leave it for later, but this is a precursor to something that we'd like to discuss in terms of how do we protect ourselves from losing all this data and being available to everybody. So that's scary as well. But actually, there's a very interesting question posed. So I think AI can only get smarter if they are trained with good quality data. And AI can only recommend solutions if the past data or the past documents uploaded to the AI is correct and accurate. So I think the question is, past documents are valuable knowledge base, but they could be handwritten documents or even drawings. So are we confident that we can tap on this to train AI? So maybe it's a good question for Keith and Clement.
So Keith here, Chief Digital Officer of Conexus. So before I answer your question, that's a very interesting question, and this is one of the problems that we have been trying to solve. But before that, maybe just a quick introduction. So Conexus, we have been in the business of system integrations for the past 20 over years, probably 30 to 40 years, yeah. Until recently, last year, we were bought over by Kajima Constructions. And I just want to emphasize why Kajima buy over our company, right? It's because the emergence of digital technologies, AI, is so immense that they have no choice that they have to start somewhere, right? And the more developed the country is, the adoption rate, sorry to say that, the lower the adoption rate, because it's just that it is difficult to tackle infrastructure that are already there, right? So, Conexus converted our business, we pivot to what we call a digital master system integrator. So now what we basically do is, we help our customers to identify what are the available digital solutions that are applicable to them. And most importantly, practical and low cost or low barrier of entry. Right? So this is what we basically do. And just to address what Chiki mentioned, right? One of the solutions that we developed recently, in fact this year, was to actually allow the industrial practitioners to be able to upload their knowledge, documentations, every single documentation into AI, LLM agent, right? In order to train your own AI, that's what we call it. But it is a challenge because a lot of the documents are handwritten, drawn, even drawings, right? So, to be honest, it is still not, the AI technology right now is still not there yet to be able to analyze, particularly in our industry, what exactly the document or the picture is about. And the closest we could ever get is to be able to hack that picture to the nearest words, which is usually the name of the document. Right? And this is the best we can get. But I believe as we go along, as the industry starts to adopt more technologies, start to use more of these digital solutions, we will be able to address what this shortfall in terms of adopting AI. And I just want to share a bit of experience. In one of the most compelling cases that I had, in fact, in most of the sites that I've been through, there are basically two applications that they use on AI. Number one is sustainability, which is pretty common nowadays. And the next one is administrative. Sad to say, most of them are still using ChatGPT to draft emails. That is the best we could have done. They have never wondered how much AI can actually help. This year, with the help of AI, we developed 3 solutions and rolled it out on the market. 3 applications. In terms of the IT world, with a company size of our size, right, it is amazing. Right? So 80% of our processes are all using AI tools. Be it PowerPoint, codings, you name it, we have it. Right? So the development of AI is so intense right now that everybody has to do it. But sadly, in our industry, we are just scratching the surface of AI. And I believe this is something that we are about to change in the near future.
Glenn?
Yeah, maybe if I could just add on, I will not be able to address the part on the content or documentation part, but from the field where we are actually collecting a lot of data, from building owners, it comes from sensors or IoT devices. So we all know that garbage in, garbage out. So in our day-to-day kind of implementation, we encounter a lot of inconsistency or very inaccurate data collected because some sensors are not calibrated. So that's where I think from an AI perspective, right, we are working with technology partners to better integrate all these capabilities of doing self-healing, self-diagnostic kind of sensors and self-calibrating kind of sensors, to inject into or integrate into the intriguing AI solution. And in a way, this will then help us to achieve higher accuracy of data and higher reliability of the energy saving that we are actually, in a way, helping customers to achieve. I think the last part that we should look at is also on how do we get the AI to become smarter. Because as we speak, every day we are collecting data. The AI 3 months ago may not be the AI 3 months later because we are collecting a lot of data and the behavior of the AI will change based on the data that we collect. So this is a part that we may need to build additional intelligence into the AI algorithms to do a lot more reasoning, to see whether, to validate whether this part of AI is performing according to what we expect it to do. Thank you.
Maybe I stick to both Keith and Clement. Let's take a step back to the fundamental first step. Do you feel that organizations know how to define the problem statement? And how would AI solve this problem? Do you find that we are weak in that problem statement stage whereby without clear definition of the problem, AI can't be applied correctly, and you will not get effective results.
Yes. Okay, so I think most of the building owners, every problem is a problem. They really need help to do a workshop, consult with them what is actually important and what is actually impacting their productivity. I give an example. This morning I was actually speaking to one of the developers nearby. Right? Their pain point was actually not in terms of productivity, or rather in terms of the daily operations, but their pain point is inventory, redrawing of inventory. There is no control over it, right? But they felt it so painful that they wanted to use AI to replace this process. Right? We actually told them, AI is not actually a silver bullet for everything. But it is important that you recognize that this is one of your pain points, probably one of your worst pain points. Right? But you also need to understand that if you just apply AI to just one problem statement, you are overdoing it. Right? So, to be honest, most of the customers nowadays, they still can't really figure out, they just think everything is important to them. Right? But it is our job to make sure to tell them that what is practical and what is not practical. What kind of processes you need AI and what you don't need. Right? And the most important thing is whether they have enough data to execute that whole process. Right? So this is what
I think from my side, when we meet building owners, right, we try to be very focused. We try not to be the AI of the AI, telling the building owners we know everything. So for us, actually, like what we have shared, we are basically very focused in delivering high-back, HVAC optimization for the building owners. And I think they will then see this as what I call a low-hanging fruit, because a lot of time when we talk about AIs, right, they tend to relate it to say, hey, do I need to spend a lot of money? Yes, is it going to be very high capex and sort of thing? So we assure them that based on the AI that we introduce, we are just a software layer. We work with the DMS, the EMS or CMS, whatever you call it, to collect all the relevant data. And then we have this engine there to actually work with the air side, water side of the HVAC, to help optimize based on the different controls that we have. And of course, at the same time, more importantly, this has to be perceived as a low-hanging fruit for the building owners, because they don't need to reinvest in other systems. So this is something that we need to give assurance to them. Then they will be more ready to embrace.
So I agree, Keith, that AI is not a silver bullet. So I think many organizations think that AI can solve every single issue without a proper understanding of AI. So I think what we have experienced in many of our consultancy is that perhaps before you consider implementing AI, you should consider whether you can implement business process improvement and business process re-engineering first. Because these two processes may make you more efficient and more effective in collecting the good data before you implement AI. So I guess we all need to maybe take a step back to see whether at the end of the day, it's actually people, process, and technology, the consolidation and the integration of these three things, PPT, before AI can be really effective. Because ultimately, AI is still a technology, it's a liberator. It's not the only solution. So I think people is important. And maybe I go back to Ethan, whereby I think you mentioned a lot about the importance of how HR can make a clear change management process, aligning leadership, mapping stakeholders, engaging employees early. I think we want to ensure that AI adoption is not just a technical initiative, but it has to be a cultural shift embraced across the organization. Maybe you can share your thoughts.
Yeah, I completely agree that AI is not a silver bullet, it's an enabler to leverage, it's a leverager in order to really bring forth productivity and and optimize the cost, right? I think very importantly, which probably Dylan can also elaborate on what I share. I think number one is if we want to introduce that, first and foremost, when we have this conversation about is AI going to remove jobs, and there's this fear and uncertainty that hey, if the top management is looking to implement AI, does it mean that my job will be removed? And that's going to create a lot of resistance. So I think the number one most important thing that any organization needs to do is to set out the vision and the purpose of why AI matters and how this is going to be the broader piece of that puzzle, right? To drive the organization to the next level. And once we start setting out the vision, that creates the first layer. And of course, the next level is for us to then remove the fear and uncertainty, create the reassurance that AI is here as a virtual employee, right? To help you to be more productivity. It's not to remove you. So of course that fear is not going to be eliminated totally. That's when the HR comes in, the people and culture team comes in to really help to really set the foundation. We want, of course, when it comes to the change management process, we can't scale it immediately. We have to start to look at specific use cases, right? Identify different departments where AI can be tested and trialed, right? To gain quick wins, right? We identify champions within the organizations, and these change champions should be at all levels, whether they are at the senior level, whether they are at line managers, or whether they are at the technical level, right? The technical engineers. Only when we are able to capture those quick wins with these specific use cases, with change champions driving these quick wins, we can then lay that momentum to then scale it up. And once we scale it up, we start to implement that into processes and culture, right? And I think it's important to set a culture of continuous learning. Because, 2 years ago, the AI 2 years ago and the AI today is so different, right? Today we are talking about agentic AI already. 2 years ago, it's not even that. So change is gaining faster and faster pace, right? So as long as, when we talk about implementation of AI into the culture, it's not just about the system and process itself, but it's also about the culture of continuous learning. Right, so if we are able to do that in a very systematic way, we do not cut corners, I believe that change can be done in a very productive manner. Change can be done in a very sustainable manner.
Yeah, thanks. Just like you mentioned one very interesting phrase, AI as a virtual employee. Yeah, perhaps I will go to Keith. Okay. So right now we work on this idea whereby AI is a virtual employee, whereby an employee we have an onboarding program, we have a scope of work, maybe we have a performance improvement plan. If let's say the AI is not doing well. So how do you introduce and integrate this AI as a virtual employee, maybe into a building operations whereby this AI becomes the key person in reducing energy for the building? Yeah, so what are the challenges that you face, and perhaps you need more people to open up the data so that you can make the right decisions. So how do you make this process seamless for this new virtual employee using the AI?
Okay, I'm going to divulge a bit of our secret sauce. Okay, so to be honest, right now, in terms of data readiness, in order to build that capability, my virtual assistant, we are not there yet. Right? We do have operational data. What we lack now is the decision-making processes. Right? When I decided to turn on something, how I respond to my tenants, right? All these decisions I make, the AI doesn't make. Right? But in terms of logical decisions, yes, this happened, this is what I do. So this is what we have right now. So in fact, in one of our roadmap, we are actually engaging in what we call MedTech initiatives. That's my secret sauce, right? But what we decided to do is to actually keep a record of how FM actually make decisions. Right? Just imagine, right? If one day, whatever decision that you make, keep a record, input this into the AI. You tell the AI that this is why I make the decision, and what is the impact, and what is this going to benefit me. Right? You keep giving this kind of input. In 2 years' time, yes, the AI assistance will be there for you. Because in future, this AI, with the emergence of agentic AI, it will be able to ingest how you usually make decisions and help you to execute the workflow. And this is what we see in the future as part of our MedTech initiative moving forward. Right? And I believe we will reach there eventually because AI technologies have been moving really fast. And even recently, our Prime Minister, they also mentioned AI is inevitable, right? It's going to come. Right? It's either you adopt it or you are going to be disqualified. So this is
It's interesting to think that when AI become a virtual employee, you start to bring in the ideas of PIP, performance improvement plan, you reward the AI when it's doing well, and then you give continuous feedback. So the AI become IA. AI becomes an intelligent assistant, IA. So whereby I think this is where, as we look at AI as part of the ecosystem, not as a technology, then it opens up different processes that would feed the AI as a virtual employee, which actually becomes a more powerful idea. Maybe Clement, you want to share the thoughts as well?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we were speaking about this, I see myself like if I'm a salesperson, my boss will ask me, we have a target this year. What can you help me achieve in the next 5 years? So this is exactly what our customers right now, the building owners, are asking of us. You have your AI solution there. Yes, we have done it. We are going to achieve, based on the data, we're going to achieve 50% energy saving. So in the next 5 years, how much are you going to achieve for us? Again, it goes back to what Keith shared. My response to the building owners is that we will continue to train the AI to such an extent that we can only give it the performance standard, right? How much you can achieve in the next 5 years when we have enough data sets to do so. Of course, my wish list is that we can't commit, but my wish list is that we can tell the building owners that in the next 5 years we're going to get an incremental saving of additional 2-3%, compounded per year. On the other side, when you talk about AI, right, we also do have the wish to say that besides working on what you are doing now, does the AI look at other issues within the system? This would be an additional kickback to us to say, hey, customer, besides this system, you might have some problem with the device, some problem with the sensors, and this is where we can then use the AI to add value back to our customers.
The same AI has also to do audit and governance.
That's the vision.
So probably in future we have an organization for humans, we have another organization for virtual employees. By AI will actually become your energy manager. AI also has an audit and verification and certification function. Interesting idea. So next time we have two different organization chart. Okay, but stick to you, Clement.